Do you ever get that feeling you're being watched? I've been staring out this window for what feels like hours, just lost in the quiet of the night. It's so calm, almost unnaturally so. The only thing moving is the soft fog rolling down the empty street. It's beautiful in a lonely sort of way. A moment ago, the streetlight at the corner flickered just once. It went out, then came right back on. An old bulb, I guess. But then, it happened again. Exactly the same way. A slow blink in the dark. I know it's silly, but it feels like the night is resetting itself, playing the same moment over and over. I feel like I'm the only one who notices. And with each flicker, the feeling gets stronger. That something out there in the fog is watching me, waiting for me to look away. But I can't. The silence in my bedroom used to be a comfort, a quiet blanket I'd pull over myself at the end of a long day. But lately, it's changed. The silence has become heavy, watchful. It started small. I'd wake up in the dead of night, not from the noise, but from the complete absence of it. No distant cars, no hum from the fridge, just a thick, suffocating stillness. Then, things in the room began to shift. A book I'd left on the nightstand would be on the floor in the morning. Spine unbroken, as if gently placed there. My closet door, which I always shut tight, would be open just a crack. A sliver of darkness peering out. I tried to rationalize it. I was tired, forgetful. The house was old, settling. But the feeling of being watched never left. It clung to the corners of the room. A cold spot in the air that my breath would mist in. One night I woke up with a jolt. The room was cold, colder than usual. I lay perfectly still, my eyes wide open in the dark, straining to hear something, anything. And that's when I saw it, the curtains. There was no breeze, the window was shut, but the heavy fabric was swaying. Not a flutter, but a slow, deliberate back and forth motion, like a pendulum counting down the seconds. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the crushing silence. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body was paralyzed. The swaying stopped as abruptly as it had begun. For a long moment, nothing happened. The silence returned, deeper and more menacing than before. I finally mustered the courage to reach for the lamp on my nightstand. My fingers fumbled for the switch, found it and flicked it on. The room was empty, exactly as I'd left it. The book was on the nightstand. The closet door was shut. The curtains hung perfectly still. Relief washed over me, so potent it made me dizzy. It was just a dream, a vivid nightmare brought on by stress. I let out a shaky breath, a nervous laugh bubbling in my throat. My eyes scanned the familiar, comforting space one last time. And that's when I saw the footprints. On the dusty floorboards leading from the window to the side of my bed. They were small, bare, and disturbingly clear. But that wasn't the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part was that there was only one set of tracks, leading to my bed, and not away. They just stopped, right where someone would be standing, looking down at me. I'm recording this now because I don't know what else to do. I haven't slept in 2 days. The silence is always here now, waiting, and I can feel it. Something is in the room with me, standing in the silence, waiting for me to close my eyes. Every time I blink, I see the space beside my bed where the footprints end, and I wonder, what happens when I finally fall asleep? Will I just join the silence too? The room was silent. Too silent. It's a phrase you hear in movies, right? A cliche. But tonight, it was real. The silence wasn't just an absence of noise, it was a presence. A heavy, thick blanket pressing down on everything. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my eyes tracing the faint water stain that looked vaguely like a distorted face. Every night, the same ritual. Check the locks, close the closet, make sure the window is latched. But tonight, something felt different. Wrong. My gaze drifted to the window. The curtains, a heavy dark blue fabric, were perfectly still. The city outside was asleep. No wind whispered through the streets. No distant sirens wailed. Just nothing. I held my breath, listening. The only sound was the frantic thumping of my own heart, a drumbeat against the crushing quiet. And then I saw it. a slight tremor in the fabric of the left curtain, a tiny, almost imperceptible ripple, like a stone dropped into a perfectly still pond. My mind raced. A draft? I checked the latch myself. It was secure. An insect? No, the movement was too fluid, too deliberate. It swayed again, a soft, slow billow that seemed to breathe in and out. There was no wind. I knew there was no wind. My skin prickled, goosebumps rising on my arms. The silence in the room seemed to deepen, pulling the air from my lungs. I wanted to scream, to turn on the light, to do anything to break the spell, but I was frozen, a statue in my own bed, held captive by a pair of curtains, dancing to a song only they could hear. The movement stopped as suddenly as it had begun. The curtain hung limp and lifeless once more. For a long moment I didn't dare to move, my eyes burning from staring so intently. I thought maybe I had imagined it, a trick of tired eyes, an overactive imagination fueled by the late hour. I let out a shaky breath, the sound unnaturally loud in the void. My heart rate began to slow, the cold dread receding just a little. It was nothing, just my mind playing tricks on me. Slowly, carefully, I turned my head away from the window, back towards the center of the room. And that's when the real horror began. The silence hadn't been in the room with me. It had been waiting. Across the room, the door to my closet, the one I knew I had shut tightly, was now open. Just a crack. A sliver of absolute, impenetrable darkness stared back at me. And from within that sliver of black, I heard it. A soft, rustling sound. The exact same sound as the curtains. My blood ran cold. It wasn't the wind. It was never the wind. The silence wasn't empty. It was full. It was watching. My breath hitched in my throat. I couldn't look away from the closet door, from that sliver of darkness that seemed to be growing, widening ever so slightly. The rustling stopped, and the silence that followed was different. It was expectant. Waiting. I closed my eyes tight, wishing for morning, for sunlight, for any noise at all. But when I opened them again, the closet door was wide open. The darkness inside was complete, a solid wall of black, and standing just inside the threshold, almost lost in the shadows, was a figure. It was tall and thin, its form indistinct like a smudge of charcoal against a black canvas. It didn't move. It didn't make a sound. It just stood there. My mind refused to process what I was seeing. It couldn't be real. This was a dream, a nightmare. I tried to convince myself, but the fear was too primal, too real. The figure took a step forward, a slow, silent glide out of the closet and into my room. It had no face, no features, just a vaguely human shape made of shadow. The silence was its cloak, the darkness its skin. As it moved closer to my bed, the air grew colder, stealing the warmth from my blankets. I was paralyzed, a spectator to my own terror. I couldn't scream. My throat was tight, my voice gone. The figure stopped at the foot of my bed. It tilted its head, a slow, inquisitive gesture that was profoundly, terrifyingly human. And in the crushing, absolute silence of my room, I heard a voice. It wasn't a sound that traveled through the air to my ears. It was a thought planted directly into my mind. Clear as a bell, it said, "You're awake, good." I was so tired of being quiet. Thanks for watching. If stories that chill you to the bone are what you live for, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss what's lurking in the shadows next.